but I'm not gonna let this train leave this station.
Let's not play crazy. Let's not play crazy.
By yourself.
Okay.
So you should feel where I'm coming from.
And maybe when you get in the quiet,
Because you gave me a bounce check.
you cannot destroy someone else's property.
I want her to be a mother.
I actually want a family. I had a family before.
When the blank hits the fan, you always call your mother.
This was a brawl between mothers. You could tell that the tension between these guys was so high that it could rip out the roof of that courthouse. Now, Miss Lusk and her mother believed that the father of the 3-year-old baby in question was Miss Page's son, and they were hell-bent on proving that he was the father. Miss Page, on the other hand, believed that they wanted to pin the baby to her deceased son so they could get rich. Who won the battle? Let's find out.
You and your mother say you have no doubt whatsoever when it comes to knowing who your 3-year-old daughter, Samari's biological father, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Unfortunately, the man you claim is her father has died, and now you find yourself facing off against his mother, who is just as convinced that she is not your daughter's grandmother.
Diving into the war among moms, Miss Lusk started by talking about how things have been difficult for her baby. Trust me, she wasn't having it easy at all. She got pregnant when she was just 16. Yep, you heard that right, just 16. What broke her was the fact that her baby daddy's mom wanted nothing to do with her or her child. That must be quite heartbreaking.
So, Ms. Lusk, describe to the court how difficult this situation has been for you and your daughter.
It's been more than extremely difficult being pregnant at 16, having to still go through school. These past 4 years, everything has been on me and my mother. And I feel it's completely unfair because he has a whole other side. She has a whole other side to her family. My daughter is beautiful, and you missed out on 4 years, almost 4 years of my child's life.
All these women wanted to do was beat each other without caring about the consequences. The anger was so intense, the judge had to tell them to take a chill pill. I don't think I ever want to be locked up in a room with these two. It's definitely not going to end well. Hold on to your seats because the truth bombs are loading and about to be dropped.
Was now pregnant by yourself.
Okay.
So you should feel where I'm coming from.
Okay.
But not only that,
Let's get some order, ladies.
you're absolutely correct. I am, and I'm doing a good job. I have 2 jobs.
Let's get
I
some
have
order.
2 jobs. Going back to college in August. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. But you should be on my side, if anybody, because you've been there.
Miss
My daughter's
Lusk,
beautiful.
Miss Lusk, calm down.
Miss Page wasn't feeling any sympathy in that courtroom. She had only one mission, to prove the baby didn't belong to her deceased son. She was fully convinced that her son had nothing to do with Miss Lusk, and they pinned the baby on him so they could get the money on his insurance. I don't even know who's telling the truth at this point.
Unfortunately, her son is deceased, so this has been an ongoing paternity issue for the past 3 years related to this beautiful, precious little girl. And you're saying you need help.
They're out for money. I had insurance on
What
my
money?
son. I had an insurance policy. They're out for
That
money.
we knew nothing about.
Let her
That we
speak.
knew nothing about.
Unless it's proven it's not my son's
You
baby.
never posted
I knew
it on
anything
Facebook.
about
Miss Lusk.
Knew nothing about her.
At first, Miss Page told the court that she had never heard of Miss Lusk while her son was alive. Was Miss Lusk going to allow her to say that? Hell no! She stood her ground and explained several situations where Miss Page would interrupt them whenever they were fooling around with each other in school. The crazy thing is that it was all happening under Miss Page's roof. I guess she wasn't as smart or observant as she thought she was.
You said you had never seen her before until you went to her school.
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you get the news that she potentially was pregnant?
Well, I'm thinking that someone told me via Facebook or something like that.
No, ma'am.
So please respond, Miss Anderson. How do you know what happened?
I contacted Miss Page through Facebook to tell her to call me. She called me, and that's when I broke the news to her about my daughter being pregnant by her son.
Baby daddy's mother couldn't keep her anger in check, all right? She was heating up like a bomb that was about to explode in the courtroom. She hopped on Facebook and painted Miss Lusk as the villain in their superhero movie. Trust me, this woman went to every length to make her point known.
Your Honor, we have never asked her for anything.
At all.
Once she suggested bringing over a used walker. We declined her walker. She went into one of her little, oh, that ain't my grandbaby. Make sure you find your baby's daddy. And she's publicly putting it on Facebook. my
Also to
child's
the
name.
point where I can't defend myself because she'll have me blocked or she'll have it where I can't post comments. And I don't slander her on my Facebook. Not once have I ever
We've
said anything
never
bad
said
about
anything
this
about
woman.
Miss Page kept denying that she had never heard of Miss Lusk at all. Her new story was that she had never seen her baby before. Well, except once by accident, but Miss Lusk jumped right in and said that wasn't true. She said there were times she even held the baby and had some intimate time with the baby. I promise, it only keeps getting more intense with them.
I seen her
She's
one
seen her
time by
once.
accident at an acquaintance birthday party.
So you've never had the opportunity to come by and spend
she
time
held
with
my
her.
daughter at that party. She also she had the opportunity. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
she has.
Miss Lust, I held her and I got a picture taken.
You had a
Someone
few.
want to see. Did she
You had
even
a few. And
favor
you,
the family?
You posted it on Facebook. You posted it on your Facebook page.
To be
So,
honest,
yes, ma'am.
I don't
This
want
is my
somebody
first time
around
seeing
him.
you, Miss Anderson.
Yes, it is, and my first time, and hopefully last, seeing you.
With the way they were going, it didn't seem like they were ever going to reach common ground, and Judge Lawrence saw that. The moment of truth is finally here. Let's see who goes home feeling happy and who goes home with tears rolling down their faces.
Between Miss Page and Samari Page is 99.96%.
4 years, and I never asked
For
nothing
4
of
years,
you. I never
almost
asked
died. My son
nothing
been
of
deceased.
you.
Stop
Absolutely
arguing.
correct.
Both of you all are in so much pain. Everything that comes out your mouth is bitter.
She is one crazy woman, if you ask me. First of all, Miss Matthews had an affair with another guy and got pregnant. As if that wasn't enough. She went on to break Mr. Moore's car window because she thought he was cheating on her. Trust me, it's all shades of crazy in this episode. I hope y'all are ready for the drama.
You admit to having an extremely complicated relationship with the defendant, Mr. Moore. Now you say you're here today to prove that he is your 3-year-old daughter Zanaya's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Moore, you argue Ms. Matthews was having an affair with another man and say she waited to notify you about her pregnancy because she was uncertain if her unborn child.
Mr. Moore was sure filled with doubt. He made sure Miss Matthews had no way of reaching him or contacting him until he was certain the baby was his. That's a little too extra from him, if you ask me. What breaks his heart the most, though, is that they were really into each other from the beginning of their relationship. I guess good things don't last forever, right?
For Neat, in the beginning, we were cool. When I met her, she was a party girl, all the way up to date.
Okay, so then you started a sexual relationship.
Yep.
Were you ever in a committed relationship?
Absolutely. She told me that she was pregnant, but she waited 4 months to do it. Keep in mind, we stayed using condoms all the time,
No, Your
24/7.
Honor. No.
We stayed using condoms, unless I was just out of it one night.
So let me understand this, Miss Matthews. So you were in a relationship with Mr. Moore.
Yeah.
Miss Matthews was being pretty fishy while telling her story. She claimed she was in a committed relationship with Mr. Moore, but refused to tell him she was pregnant. I mean, who does that? She then starts to change her story by saying they were on and off. Pick a side, Miss Matthews. Which exactly is it?
I didn't tell him I was pregnant because it was something I went to the doctor in Alabama and they didn't tell me, they didn't know if my baby was gonna be alive or dead. So I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't tell some of my family members either because I didn't know what I was going to do.
So you
it
were
did
having
take me-
issues
yeah,
and complications
with
in
my
the pregnancy.
yes.
We can stop playing victim, though.
So I didn't show you the papers?
I got these papers.
Papers of what?
With the guy who was presumably, he could be the dad.
Okay.
Mr. Moore sure had evidence to back up his claim. He had a photo showing Miss Matthews kissing another man. Seems like Mr. Moore's skills for stalking and investigation are pretty top tier, wouldn't you say? But Miss Matthews was prepared, trust me. She had her own evidence and it was mind-blowing.
Matthews
Yeah.
kissing another man
Yeah.
Yeah.
during
Yep.
the time that you
Yep.
thought you
Yep.
were together.
Yep.
No, but
And how did you find this photo?
That actually came from her social network that she used to have, her Instagram.
why
You
did I
know,
post the picture?
Why
Because
did-
what picture did you post that made me do that on Throwback Thursday, Your Honor?
Jerome, let me see that.
What picture did you post? And the reason I did
Look.
bust the window out is because I was calling his phone
Fanique.
about this picture.
Miss Matthews had some serious balls, trust me. She openly admitted in court that she broke Mr. Moore's car window because he wasn't picking up her calls. I don't think you need me to tell you that Miss Matthews is one hell of a woman. You really don't want to be on her bad side, I promise you.
And there was a
Fanique.
brick by the tire. I said, oh, this is a coincidence. What a coincidence. And I bust the window out.
Okay, so
Fanique,
you
bust it.
admit in
And I
open
left.
court.
Okay.
And went home and ate some
So
food.
you're
Your
admitting
Honor.
today in
Your
open
Honor.
court that you busted the
Yes.
window out
Fanique,
of
stop lying.
his
What's
car.
wrong with you,
Yes.
man?
I don't
All
have
right.
to lie about what I do.
Mr. Moore, let me see this evidence you have.
You was real chilly
This
that night.
is a
wasn't it?
picture of what?
Things were really starting to get out of hand in that courtroom. These two weren't here to play nice with each other at all. Mr. Moore's niece steps up to the podium to give her own side of the story. Oh, she didn't like Miss Matthew for sure. The things she had to say will leave your mind filled with nothing other than shock. shocked.
Told me he started dating her and she was pregnant. I just started laughing because, like, you don't know how many other dudes she done told this to before. Like, this is a rumor around the hood. She gets around.
But what
do you
mean?
What do you mean? She
My
told
back page,
other.
Let's
gets
not play
around,
crazy.
honey. Come
Let's
on
not
now.
play crazy.
Come
The
on.
whole 117th
You
know
gets
you.
around,
Let's
baby.
not play
What about
crazy.
the back page?
So hold on,
But
but
it's
it's
go
time.
take care of your daughter. That's what you need to
Ladies.
do. Go take care of your daughter. That's what you need to do.
Ladies.
His niece drops the biggest truth bomb the courtroom has ever heard. She says Miss Matthews' child calls 3 different guys daddy in their neighborhood. Wow, I'm beyond speechless right now.
What did you just say?
She calls 3 other dudes in the neighborhood that we live in daddy.
Zanaya.
Not my uncle. Yes. It's
Three.
been-
Wait.
No, Your Honor.
Zanaya calls 3
No.
other men
3 other
daddy.
men's daddy.
That just sounds ridiculous.
Wait,
But
Miss
you're ridiculous.
Matthews.
What do you
Hold
mean?
on, Miss Matthews.
Don't argue.
Is that true? Does
Your
Zanaya
Honor,
call
no.
anyone else daddy?
The only person she called daddy is her 2 papas. That me granddaddy, Your Honor.
No.
No, my daughter did not call anybody else daddy.
I think it's about time we drew the curtains down on the baby daddy shenanigans. Both parties were completely dishonest throughout their relationship. The envelope will reveal the truth, and we will find out who has been lying.
Mr. Moore, you are not her father.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. I'm done. It's over with. I got my whole life ahead of me. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I wish you the best.
My baby gonna be fine. I'll take care of my baby.
I wish you the best.
So, Miss Matthews, I asked you several times if there could be another potential father, and you
I
said
did not.
no. Whether you're willing to admit it in open court today, something in me is telling me that you know who this person is, and maybe when you get in the quiet of your own space.
When you talk about being crazy, this particular case fits the criteria for that. Miss Scott believes that her mother is not to be trusted around her husband. In her words, she says her mother is jealous of her and definitely wants a sexual relationship with her husband. You don't need me to tell you that's crazy. Sit back and relax because this would most likely leave you speechless.
You claim that you've been supporting your daughter, Miss Scott, and her 7 children long enough.
Yes.
You say that your daughter's husband is a deadbeat, and you wish she'd leave this man and get off the system. Miss Scott McCrae, you are suing your daughter for $3,900 in unpaid loans.
Yes, Mom.
Miss Scott, you say your mother was an addict when you were younger and now tries to act holier than thou.
Yes.
Now, Miss Scott McCrae, who happens to be the mother, believes her daughter needs a wake-up call. Well, that sounds interesting. She says she's married to a man who isn't good for her and is not capable of providing properly for her in any way. For some reason, her daughter doesn't feel the same way. She was pretty defensive when it came to her husband, almost too cute not to admire.
She's very intelligent. She's smart. I mean, she has goals and she had aspirations when she was younger that I've seen her just lose total sight of. He's a deadbeat. He's not a good provider. He hinders his family more so, I think, than he can help it.
How does he hinder his
He
family?
can't keep a job for more than a week or 2.
He has a job.
When
he
did
just
he
got
get
a
it?
job.
Last week?
It doesn't matter
And
when
how long is
got
he gonna
He's
keep
working.
it? 2
So, Miss
weeks?
Scott McCrae,
How long is he gonna keep it?
Just let it be known, Mom.
Oh, the courtroom lit up in no time, people. You could tell these 2 women didn't particularly have a cute mother-daughter relationship. All they wanted to do was argue and fight. At some point, it was almost impossible not to laugh at them. But Miss Scott McCrae was throwing some serious shades at her daughter's husband, and Miss Scott just wasn't having it.
Miss Scott McCrae, why are you calling your daughter's husband a deadbeat?
If I have 5 children depending on me and they need things in the morning to sustain them while they're at daycare, and this man,
What's the things they need?
Toy,
What
I was
they
sleeping in
What
their
were they-
den. I was
Okay.
sleeping in their den. I watched Toy one night, particularly. He went into the kitchen 3 or 4 times.
Miss Scott McCrae was clearly in that courtroom to do one job. I'm sure you're guessing what it is. Well, I'll tell you exactly what it is. She was there to expose her daughter's husband in every single way possible. Talk about shortcomings. He definitely had a lot. Trust me, at this point, you really can't blame Miss Scott McCrae for acting the way she did.
Your Honor, not when you're getting evicted every 6 to 7 months. It shouldn't be a family decision.
evicted
Not
every
when it's
6 to
getting,
7
yes,
months.
every year. They're good. They do good at
But
tax
let you
time.
tell it you paid our rent for 5 and 6 months, Mom.
That's when I was staying with you when you were
But
on
when have you
Tuckasegee,
ever
and as
paid
soon
our
as I
rent for
moved
5 or
out,
6
y'all
months,
got
Mom?
evicted because you
Yeah,
couldn't
because
continue
you
to
gave
pay
me a
the rent.
bounce check.
No, I gave it. I didn't give you a bounce check.
We were in a bind.
I canceled
We
the
were
check.
in a bind. No, you canceled it
I
now.
canceled $400.
Now Miss Scott had enough of the false story her mother was trying to paint. Apparently she wasn't the all-perfect mother we were led to believe. Trust me, there was so much more to the tale. Miss Scott McCrae was living like a teenager in their home. She even had a man she was sleeping with while living in her daughter's home. Damn, I don't even know what to say.
We getting the kids ready for daycare. If Toy wouldn't have walked in the living room, the kids would have seen her full moon.
My couch.
And I don't even, I've never even.
I don't know if I want to know, but
You know what I'm saying? Doing what
Having sex?
with the children.
Having sex?
You're right, but in my home, early in the front, on the couch, Your Honor.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Grandma, you were
That's a
not
lie,
having
Your
sex
Honor.
in the front room.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
You're probably asking yourself why Miss Scott McCrae hates her daughter's husband so much. I'll tell you the reason, all right? And it was a very valid reason. She caught her husband's daughter naked with another woman while her daughter wasn't home. Oh, wow. That explains why she doesn't like him one bit.
And caught her husband naked in their house with another woman. Lost a thumb because of it. That's when I say no.
Okay, but if I forgave him for that, why can't you?
It ain't about me
It's
not
my
forgiving
husband.
him. I just
Why
don't
you
like
still
the way
gotta
he
bring it
treats
up?
you. I don't like the way he does you and your family.
So why do you feel that it's your?
Can I say something, Your Honor?
When I let you know.
I think both of y'all need some help.
Things took a nasty turn in the courtroom. You could even call it a wrestling match between Miss Scott and her mother. Miss Scoot had some of her own truth bombs to drop. She claimed her mother was making moves to try to sleep with her son. She even tried to kiss him on several occasions. If you ask me, that's going too far in Miss Scott McCrae's case.
She's about to leave. I walk her out to her car. Now she got in her car, crunk it up. So of course, bye Mom. I turned around to go back in the house, but something just told me to, just look back out the door. I look out the door. She done got out her car, walked up to our car where Toy was sitting, and kissed him on his cheek. A slobbery kiss. If he would have turned his face.
The only solution here was for Judge Lauren to make her final decision and decide who gets what and who should fix their behaviors. Because these people right here weren't going to settle any of this on their own. Let's see what verdict the judge gave.
Scott McCrae, you were asked if you want a sexual relationship with your son-in-law, Toy.
Made my head hurt.
You said no, and the lie detector determined that was the truth.
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right. And that's what I would rather hear.
I hope you guys are ready for another baby daddy calamity, because that's the only thing that comes out of this case. Miss Hines was in court to prove that her ex-boyfriend was the father of her 22-month-old son. The ex-boyfriend, on the other hand, claimed he couldn't be the father because Miss Hines wasn't faithful at all. Well, let's help them unshackle their mystery, shall we?
Today you've summoned your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Jackson, to court. You want to prove that he fathered your 22-month-old son, Matthias. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Jackson, you claim Matthias cannot be your son because Ms. Hines had another man living with her around the time of conception. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Jackson, who is apparently the ex-boyfriend, starts off by telling his side of the story. He claimed they tried to be in a committed relationship, but it didn't just work out. The bomb then dropped. Boom! He said Ms. Hines had another man who she was intimate with while they were supposedly dating.
Are you disagreeing that it was Christmas Eve, or you're disagreeing that you're the
I'm disagreeing
person
that
she
it
was
was
having sex with?
I'm disagreeing on both behalves because she was living with another male, so it's kind of like hard to like judge her because like.
So while you all were in this relationship or just having sex in the car, whatever it was you all were doing, she was in a relationship with somebody else.
Yeah, it was a relationship. She had another male living with her.
And Mr. Jackson sure likes to snoop around now, doesn't he? He went to visit Miss Hines one of those cozy nights and he found the most shocking thing. He found a box full of condoms that didn't belong to him. The crazy part? When he asked her about it, she said it belonged to her ex. Well, you really can't blame him for his suspicions, can you?
So when you were in her house, you were snooping around and you saw some condoms in a box.
Yeah, and I thought she was like.
So you thought at that point that man and her were having sex?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, that is true. I did sleep with my ex.
Okay.
So condoms in a box. That's correct because my ex was
and
moving
she had
out.
admitted to having sex with
because I told my ex about him.
Mr. Jackson was doing quite a lot of snooping. He was all up in her business. Trust me, you would even think he was being paid to investigate Miss Hines because it was just too much. He did find what he was looking for eventually. Apparently, Miss Hines had been talking to other men behind his back, and all that just built a river of doubts to fill up Mr. Jackson's mind.
The baby isn't yours because y'all don't have the same hair color? Come on, Mr. Jackson.
It's not that.
Yes,
it's just
please.
because
Come on
like,
now.
she was living with another man and she admitted to having sex with this man.
That I
and she
cannot,
has friends.
those parts of your doubt I
And I
understand.
believe-
So the point is you're saying you really don't know, Mr. Jackson.
I really don't know, Your Honor.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Because with all your snooping, you never could pinpoint.
Exactly.
Miss Hines, of course, had her own side of the story story to tell, and she sure told a really good story. Apparently, Mr. Jackson was saying two different things to people. How do I mean? Whenever he was with Miss Hines, he would refer to their son as his baby. But whenever he was with people outside of Miss Hines' reach, he would deny her and the baby, claiming the baby was never his. Now that's just hurtful from Mr. Jackson.
What has Mr. Jackson done for Matthias? Is he involved? Does he help support him?
Behind closed doors, he's his son. Around other people, he's not. When we're together, that's his son.
Yeah,
when we're not
from the jump.
together, he's not his son.
Did you ever consider each other boyfriend and girlfriend, or you just sleeping together and sleeping around?
At some point, until I figured out that like she's bringing a man, like she's so friendly that she's bringing him.
As if denying Miss Hines and her baby weren't enough, Mr. Jackson happens to be doing the exact same thing he is accusing Miss Hines of doing. Ouch! You heard that right. He also entertains a ton of women in his Facebook DMs. Looks like Mr. Jackson isn't as sleek as he thought he was, because now that cat is out of the bag.
Lots and lots of women. So from the looks of these messages, it seems like you entertaining these women.
The reason why I did what I did because like she had messages in her phone from her other fella that was talking about working on their relationship as far as the workout.
Before that, he was cheating on me. Like, he'd been cheating on me from the beginning.
Well, it's obvious he's entertaining countless other women. That's a no-brainer after looking at that.
Miss Hines' best friend walked up to the stage, and it was clear she was no fan of Mr. Jackson. If I don't like you were a person, it was definitely Miss Hines' best friend. She gave an account of how she and Miss Hines were the ones who took care of the baby. Mr. Jackson, on the other hand, had almost no contribution to the upbringing of the child.
You are Miss Hines' best friend.
Yeah, sure.
And what do you know about this? What do you have to add?
I know everything about the situation. I know she's been pretty much taking care of him by herself with my assistance, her mother, no help from him. I do most of the babysitting.
This woman is
He's paid
irrelevant.
me twice for babysitting. $10 a piece, both times. I'm more of a father to this child than he is.
Well, it's finally time to bring the baby daddy drama to a close. There was a lot of fighting and accusations between these two, and it was pretty evident that their relationship was not going to be saved. The question still remains, people. Who is the father of the baby? Well, let's find that out, shall we?
Mr. Jackson, you are Matthias's father.
At least, like, if I can get a hug, you mind if I get a hug? So I can, no accusations?
That's up to her. That's up to her. He said he'd like to give you a hug. Are you okay with that or not? You can say no.
No.
All right.
Maybe
Step
later.
on back over there to your side.
Later.
You can hug.
That way I gotta let it cool down.
We've got Mrs. White, who's in hot water just 1 week after tying the knot. Can you believe it? She's been accused of cheating and is now in a desperate scramble to save her marriage by proving that her hubby, Mr. White, is the father of their 3-year-old daughter, Savannah. Talk about starting off with a bang!
Right, you've opened your case because your last and only way to save your marriage and family is to prove to your husband that he fathered your 3-year-old daughter, Savannah.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit you've cheated in the past.
Now, Mrs. White admits she's been a bit of a wandering wife in the past, but she's hoping that once the DNA results are out, Mr. White will trust her again. But let's be real, folks. Trust is like a mirror. Once it's broken, you can piece it back together, but the cracks are always there.
Everything just happened so quickly at 19 years old, so.
And so you got married young.
Yes.
And did you start cheating?
Yes.
Mr. White, when did...
On the flip side, Mr. White is convinced he's not the daddy and is ready to hit the divorce button faster than you can say Maury Povich. He's got what he calls physical proof of his wife's infidelity, and his heart is shattered into a million pieces. The guy loves little Savannah to death, but he's not about to play daddy to a child that might not be his.
And at the same time, it was kind of a relief because I knew for a fact that it was actually happening. It wasn't just, oh, it's an assumption, I don't know for a fact. But I think more than anything that I was more hurt.
Mrs. White moved in with Mr. White after just a month of dating, and bam! She's pregnant with their first child. Fast forward, they get hitched, and soon after, the cheating scandals start to unravel. How soon, you might ask? A week after the wedding, folks. A week. Mr. White's neighbors are spilling the tea, telling him about Mrs. White's ex-boyfriend sneaking over while he's slaving away at work. If that's not a red flag, we don't know what is.
Did you tell your husband about this guy too?
He saw the text messages.
There's one more text. Ms. White says, you can bring me some cigs, LOL, Al.
But wait, there's more. Mrs. White's got abandonment issues, and when Mr. White isn't giving her the lovey-dovey vibes, she's out there seeking attention from exes and random dudes. I mean, come on, Mrs. White. Holding hands in public isn't too much to ask for, but neither is staying faithful.
My house that has all the pictures, all the text messages, all the calls, everything.
This next photo is a picture we can't even show.
And let's talk about the evidence Mr. White brings to court. We've got text that would make anyone's jaw drop. Mrs. White's out here sending messages like, my body naked, to her ex and planning rendezvous with other men. And on Valentine's Day, no less. The audacity. Mr. White is home with the kids, and she's out there getting Valentine's Day treats from other guys. And let's not forget the pictures. We're talking about the kind of pics that are too spicy for court.
Doing this if you are gonna engage in this type of activity.
Well, I called the court just so I can get the results of the kids in Savannah and just move on with our lives.
Now, the plot thickens when we find out Mrs. White is pregnant again. And guess what? There's a chance the bun in the oven might not belong to Mr. White either. Drama alert. So Mr. White is at a crossroads. If Savannah is his, maybe, just maybe, he'll consider sticking around. But if not, it's game over for their marriage. And let's not forget, they've got 3 kids and 1 on the way. That's a whole lot of hearts on the line.
That because of this, you do not know for certain whether the child you're carrying is Mr. White.
No, I know it's his because around the time I got pregnant, I have not slept with nobody.
Mr. White, does that somehow alleviate your doubt at all?
If Savannah comes back just being the only one that's not mine, I have the decision to sit there and either try to make it work with her or to call it quits. But if more than one comes back not mine, there is no working on it. It is over.
I think it's time we go to the results.
As the tension builds, we get to the moment of truth. The DNA results are in, and Judge Lake is ready to drop the bombshell. Will Mr. White be the father of Savannah? Will their marriage survive the lies and deceit? Or will this be the end of the road for the Whites?
Mr. White, you are her father.
We've got a love triangle that's messier than a college frat party. Miss Wolf is in one corner, claiming that her current man, Mr. Cottle, is the father of her 3-month-old son, Zane. But hold up, it's not that simple. She admitted to having what she calls revenge sex with Mr. Cottle to get back at her ex, Mr. Chittum, for cheating on her with her friend. And yes, you heard that right. Revenge sex!
Hoping to build is to prove to your fiancé that he fathered your 3-month-old son, Zane. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cottle, you say you're not a doctor, but when a woman is having sex with more than one man at the...
Now here's where it gets juicy. Mr. Cottle is not just any guy, he's Mr. Chittum's friend. Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Cottle is doubting he's the father and wants his name off the birth certificate if he's not the father.
Have sex, I'm sorry.
So at this point, were you in love with Mr. Chittum?
At the point, yes, I was in love with him and I was very hurt. So I took it upon myself.
But wait, there's more! Miss Wolf moved in with Mr. Chittum after meeting him on a dating site, like a week after. Then she invites a friend over, and bam! She catches Mr. Chittum cheating with her friend. So what does she do? She turns around and hooks up with Mr. Cottle for some good old-fashioned revenge sex.
So, Mr. Chittum, thank you for joining us today. You were in a relationship with Miss Wolf first.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you started a sexual relationship?
Now, folks, you might think that's where the story ends. But nope! Miss Wolf and Mr. Cottle start a relationship and she gets pregnant. But the plot thickens because she's still hooking up with Mr. Chittum. It's like a merry-go-round of bed hopping.
One of my friends texted me.
So then did you confront Ms. Wolf?
Yes.
What did she say?
She was pretty much denying it all.
So you didn't want to tell the truth, Ms. Wolf?
I did tell him that I...
The courtroom was buzzing when Judge Lake brought out the Facebook evidence. And guess what? We've got Miss Wolf kissing both men in nearly identical photos, just rooting for different football teams. Talk about playing for both teams, am I right?
Ms. Wolf end once she found out she was pregnant?
No, Your Honor.
So you continued to have sex with her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow.
Until when?
3 weeks before Zane was born.
Then Mr. Chittum drops a bombshell. He's been sleeping with Miss Wolf throughout her pregnancy, right under Mr. Cottle's nose. And he's got the text messages to prove it. The courtroom was shook when Judge Lake read those spicy texts out loud. Miss Wolf was asking Mr. Chittum to come over and blank her while Mr. Cottle was out working hard. Yikes!
With Ms. Wolf at Mr. Cottle's house.
Yes, Your Honor.
You would go over there and Mr. Cottle would be working?
Yes.
How often?
I'd say at least about once a week.
Oh my God.
Once a week?
But here's the kicker, guys. Miss Wolf had a plan. She knew Mr. Chittum couldn't have kids, so she plotted to get pregnant by Mr. Cottle during her ovulation window. She tracked it, she planned it, and she executed it. That's some next-level scheming.
Okay, so you're saying he lied, I'm saying you lied too. Both of you lying, obviously. Even if you didn't sleep with him that time, I don't think Mr. Cottle appreciates the text messages alone.
You're probably right.
He's out working.
Mr. Cottle signed the birth certificate giving Zane his middle and last name. He's feeling walked all over, and can you blame him? He was out there busting his butt for his family, and Miss Wolf was playing him like a fiddle. Now, Judge Lake wasn't going to let that fly. So she calls out Miss Wolf for crying wolf and lying through her teeth. She tells Miss Wolf to cut the cord with Mr. Chittum if she wants any chance at a healthy relationship with Mr. Cottle. But let's be real, we all know that's not going to happen. These two are like toxic magnets. They just can't stay away from each other.
But if you really didn't think that it was his kid, why would you let me put my son's, name as yours?
Is that true, Mr. Cottle?
Yes, Your Honor.
You gave the baby your name, your last name, and your middle name.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you still doubted
The tension was thick as Judge Lake opened up the envelope with the DNA results. The courtroom was on edge, waiting to see who the baby daddy really was. Is it Mr. Cottle, the hardworking fiancé? Or is it Mr. Chittum, the ex-boyfriend and supposed pathological liar?
The biological father is Mr. Cottle. You are the biological father.
In the plaintiff's corner, we've got Miss Hilburn, who's been caught in a love triangle, or should I say a love square, for the past 3 years. And guess what? A baby's caught in the middle of it all. Little Saria, just 10 months old, is the star of this show. And the big question is, who's her daddy?
Burn. You admit that you've been caught up in a love triangle for the past 3 years, which you say resulted in the birth of your 10-month-old daughter, Saray. But you're here to prove she is...
Now, Miss Hilburn admits she's been playing musical beds with Mr. Barnes and another guy. And get this, they were all living in the same house. Can you believe that? Mr. Barnes was under the impression that he was the only one, but nope! Miss Hilburn was sneaking around with the other guy every time Mr. Barnes left for work. Talk about drama!
Mr. Barnes, what kind of connection have you developed with this child?
It's a father-daughter relationship. I was there from start to finish. I was there for appointments, ultrasounds. I was there when she was born. I got there before she did to the hospital. I signed all the paperwork to be on the birth certificate. Well, I couldn't be because she is still legally married, so I was not able to be put on it.
Oh. Okay.
But wait, it gets even better! On Valentine's Day, the day of love, Mr. Barnes finds out that Miss Hilburn was cheating on him. Ouch! But in an insane plot twist, he gives her another chance, only to discover she's still sleeping with the other guy. It's like a real-life telenovela.
Okay. I wasn't expecting you to say that, so she's still legally married to someone else.
And I would want more than anything to actually be her father. I was there. I've put the time, the commitment, the love.
Now here's where it gets sad, folks. Mr. Barnes has been there since day one for Saria. He was there for the ultrasounds and the birth, and he even tried to sign the birth certificate, but couldn't because, plot twist, Miss Hilburn is still legally married to someone else. The audience was gasping, and so were we.
Together that night.
That is not true. I told him that I'd slept with
She had been
the other
telling
man.
him that she was not with anybody at that point in time. We had lived in a house together, and that's where this other gentleman moved in. We were all living there.
And just when you think it can't get any messier, Miss Hilburn drops another bomb. She's pregnant again. And guess what? It could be Mr. Barnes or the other guys. It's like deja vu all over again. But here's the deal. The other guy isn't stepping up. He's just in it for the fun, not for the responsibility. And Miss Hilburn? She's still with him, even though he's using their baby as a pawn to provoke Mr. Barnes. It's a mess, folks.
Told.
Yes, he did.
If I would have known at that point in time that there was another gentleman she was messing around with, it would not have been how it is today.
If he said it was going to be different, that's why he's still sleeping with me in the present.
Now, Mr. Barnes has a girlfriend too, and she's living with her baby daddy. It's like a love hexagon at this point. And despite all this, Mr. Barnes is still sleeping with Miss Hilburn, who's carrying a child that might be his. I mean, how can anyone even keep up with this?
His father is? Because I can see right now you all gonna leave here and go back out into these streets just making more and more mess. And look, Saray's already had to wait long enough, and this child should not have to do the same. You shouldn't have to be.
Judge Lake was having none of it. She was ready to serve up the truth with a side of DNA results. Mr. Barnes wants to be the father so badly, and Miss Hilburn? She's scared she's ruined her child's chance at having a loving dad? But wait, there's more! Before we even get to the results, Judge Lake orders a prenatal DNA test for the unborn baby because she's not about to let this cycle of chaos continue.
I was still rooting for you. And I was rooting for Saray. I knew this man loved her. And I wanted him to be her father, but the DNA says otherwise. I'm just a judge.
Everyone in the courtroom is just dying to know the results. And as Judge Lake receives the envelope, the anticipation is at an all-time high. Is Mr. Barnes the father of Saria? Will he be the father of the new baby? What will happen to this crazy love hexagon? Let's find out.
Mr. Barnes, you are not Saray's father.
We're diving into a juicy case that'll have your jaws on the floor. We've got Mr. Wilson and Miss Dean, and guys, this story is wild from the get-go. So you might want to strap in for this one. Mr. Wilson thought he was living the dream. He moved Miss Dean into his home, rolled out the red carpet, and bam! He finds out she's rolling around with other men right under his roof. Talk about an in-house home wrecker.
And you've opened your case today to prove that Miss Dean's 17-month-old daughter, Jakaya, is not your biological child. You say you moved her into your home, laid out the red carpet, only to find out she was rolling around.
Now Miss Dean was on the defense. She's claiming Mr. Wilson has turned his back on their 17-month-old daughter, Jakaya. She even says this guy welcomed the baby into the world and signed the birth certificate. But Mr. Wilson, oh boy, he's convinced he's been played for a fool. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. The plot thickens when Mr. Wilson spills the beans. He says they planned this baby, folks. Planned! But now he's doubting he's the daddy because Miss Dean's story has more holes than a sieve.
Correct.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Dean, you say Mr. Wilson has turned his back on your daughter and he welcomed her into the world and signed her birth certificate. You claim Mr. Wilson is her father, and his denial is hurting you and your daughter.
Miss Dean's not having it, though. She's accusing Mr. Wilson of being a liar, saying they were having concessions left, right, and center. And no, folks, she didn't mean conversations. She meant they were getting down to the baby-making business. But here's where it gets messy. Mr. Wilson claims he bumped into Miss Dean's ex at the bus stop, and the ex spills the tea, saying he's the real daddy and they're expecting a little girl.
And I have been going down this rodeo for far too long. I signed on a birth certificate. I'm not there physically. I just can't handle it because she just no consistency. I just want.
Fast forward, Jakaya is born, and Mr. Wilson is there, cutting the umbilical cord and signing the birth certificate. He's a proud papa, no doubt about it. But then the doubts start creeping in. He's hearing whispers, catching Miss Dean in lies, and before you know it, he's questioning everything.
Things besides just.
Oh, that's a concession.
Yeah, a concession.
Okay.
So when I say we having a concession, I mean everything over and above.
Okay, so hold on. Mr. Wilson, I need you to talk to me about these concessions.
Yeah.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, Mr. Wilson takes baby Jakaya and vanishes. Miss Dean is out here playing detective, trying to track down her baby daddy and her baby. She even accuses Mr. Wilson of trying to take Jakaya to be with another woman.
Sessions we had.
She was on my Facebook page, liking my comments
So
and
was, you
my
was my
pictures.
boo. So
And she hit me up like, what you up to, and this, that, and the other. And at the time, I was taking care of my stepfather, had my own house.
Enter Miss Faithful, Mr. Wilson's sister. She's got her brother's back, saying Miss Dean is just after his money and that she's not looking for a daddy for Jakaya, but a payday. Miss Faithful even claims Miss Dean showed up at her house causing a scene, demanding her baby back.
And I hear echoes. She's always in a different room of the apartment. And I'm like, why you never around the kids? Why? She said, I can't talk now because my ex is here. And why is he there 11 o'clock at night if the kids got school in the morning?
And he knew exactly what was going on.
Now hold on to your seats, because here's where it gets even more tangled. Mr. Wilson says during this whole baby snatching fiasco, Miss Dean admits on the phone that Jakaya isn't his. But Miss Dean says she only said that to get her baby back. Can you believe this?
To live again. It was giving me purpose because I was so attached to my father. I don't say stepfather, he was my father. And she knew all that, what I've been through, even in my past relationship. So I thought that she was...
And Mr. Wilson is staring at the photo of him and the baby, and you can see him hoping he's the father. Judge Lake is about to read the results, and everyone's on the edge of their seats. Will Mr. Wilson's dreams of fatherhood be crushed? Or will Miss Dean have to eat her words and admit she's been caught in a lie?
Mr. Wilson, you are not the father.
Angela Monroe, a terminally ill woman, opens her soul to the court. Her son, Herbert Monroe, departed this world in 2015, and in a cruel twist of fate, Shaneka Reed reveals she's carrying Herbert's child. Angela, seeking solace in the truth, turns to the court to confirm if Ayanna Monroe, born in 2016, is indeed her granddaughter. Get ready for a roller coaster of emotions as we uncover this complex and heart-wrenching family saga.
The court recently received the following submission from the plaintiff. My name is Angela Monroe. My son Herbert died on January 27, 2015. After my son passed, a young lady named Shaneka Reed, which is the defendant, told me that she was pregnant from my son. The baby was born on May 31st, 2016.
The drama is sky high as Angela unravels the tale of Jerome, her cousin's son, seeking refuge for his pregnant girlfriend Shaneka due to Angela's poor health. What was supposed to be a brief stay spirals into a maze of complications.
Had you met Ms. Monroe? Did you meet his mother?
Yes, I did meet her.
And he introduced you as his girlfriend or?
No, friend. And the thing about that was our apartment, me and my son's
Iana's apartment?
No,
Do we really?
you even said this is Ian's apartment.
When
She
you get
referred
an
to her as
apartment,
Ian because
when
that's
you
his middle
get an
name. She
apartment,
said that.
it's two people on the lease. So my name and my son's name.
Tensions flare, and the courtroom becomes a battleground as Angela and Shaneka lock horns over conflicting timelines, doubts, and a storm of disrespect. Judge Lake, the mediator in this emotional storm, strives to restore order, unraveling the threads of truth surrounding Iana's paternity.
Financially with Iana.
They supposed to. I told you I wasn't doing nothing else because the way you talked to me until you got a DNA.
And that's fine. Iana's still good. We still good. We only here to collect the benefits that you recommended I collect.
I said that only way you get anything is if you do a DNA. You don't get nothing until you do a DNA.
I didn't even know that I could collect benefits.
Yes, you. Hold on to your hearts as Angela takes the stage, testifying about her complex relationship with Jerome Reed, the father of her late son's child. Secrets, tensions, and a web of hidden truths unfold before us.
But you were saying to him, listen, I'm pregnant with your child, but I really want to go pursue a relationship somewhere else?
I was not pregnant yet. That's the thing. I became pregnant the week after I told him that.
I have to ask you, is there any chance that the other man...
Me and this person was communicating over Facebook and on the phone. Me and this person has had no physical contact.
But you just said you and him was gonna live together.
Angela confesses her initial plan to leave Jerome, but life takes an unexpected turn with Iana's arrival. The courtroom buzzes with anticipation as the judge addresses the burning question of paternity, ordering DNA tests to unveil the truth. Brace yourselves, the results are about to be revealed.
Oldest child was born.
So listen, we can see now that this was not a committed relationship, and we know now, Ms. Monroe, this is not something you were fully informed about before your son's unfortunate passing. I need to know now, what are your hopes?
I just really want to know if Iana's my granddaughter.
And if she is, are you hoping for a grandmother-granddaughter relationship? Do you want to be
I'm gonna be
in her
honest
life?
with you, I don't even know if we can go there.
The courtroom transforms into a haven of raw emotions as Angela, a terminally ill mother, finally embraces the truth about her son's second child. A wave of closure washes over her, bringing with it a mix of sorrow and relief. Despite earlier tensions and arguments, the judge, in a moment of solemnity, stresses the importance of setting aside personal conflicts for the sake of the innocent. Angela, with a heavy heart, extends her heartfelt wishes, expressing hope that Iana will have the chance to know her grandmother. The court adjourns, leaving us with puffy eyes and drenched tissues.
The percentage of relatedness between Ms. Angela Monroe and Iana Monroe is 99.98%. I know you needed it.
Yes.
And you have been through
a lot.
What every mother's worst nightmare.
We've got Miss Bailey and her daughter, Miss Parker, suing Mr. Parker for a whopping $3,691.50 in childcare expenses. But get this, Mr. Parker is Miss Parker's estranged husband, and he's denying he's the father of her 4-month-old son, Zachariah. He hasn't given a single penny for the baby's expenses. It's about to get hot in here.
Ms. Bailey, you and your daughter are suing the defendant for $3,691.50 in child care expenses. Mr. Parker is your daughter's estranged husband, and he denies paternity of your 4-month-old grandson. You claim he hasn't even given your daughter a single penny.
Now, Mr. Parker's defense is basically, go find the real dad and sue him instead. But wait, there's more. He's demanding a paternity test because he's convinced he's not the biological father. Did he write all of this down on a napkin during breakfast? Because wow, we've seen better defenses on school playgrounds.
Is to take their lawsuit, find the real father of the child, and sue him.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're seeking the results of a paternity test because you say you do not believe you are 4-month-old Zechariah's biological father. Ms. Bailey, tell me about your lawsuit.
Well, Your Honor, I've come here today because Mr. Parker has done nothing, not a single thing for my daughter or my grandson. He left her when she was 16 weeks pregnant.
Miss Bailey is fed up because Mr. Parker ghosted her daughter when she was 16 weeks pregnant. He just up and left, folks. And Miss Bailey, she's been playing super grandma, taking care of the baby, buying formula, diapers, you name it, while her daughter is working on her second college degree. Talk about a super mom and super grandma duo.
To hold the baby when he cries and comfort him. Not him, he's living the way he wants to. And my daughter is going to college. She's working on her second degree, not her first, but her second degree.
What type of relationship has he established with Zechariah thus far?
Nothing. Zero. He doesn't even know what he looks like. He's never laid eyes on him.
You don't even know what he looks like, Mr. Parker?
But Mr. Parker, he claims he was practically kicked out of the house, told he wasn't worth anything, and couldn't even eat with the family. And the kicker? He says Miss Parker started wearing makeup to pay bills and meet neighbors. I mean, makeup, people. Honestly, does Mr. Parker even know what century he's in?
So they would have enough to eat.
Bottom line is, you two were in some type of relationship.
We were married, Your Honor. We still are.
Yes, we are married. Yes.
What led to this entire situation anyway, whether you left or you got ran out?
First it started, she'd start wearing makeup and everything. She was wearing it to church. It ain't so funny. She never wore makeup before.
And
she started wearing it just to go to
don't.
pay the bills, run out to go over, just to go see the neighbor.
The drama doesn't stop there. Mr. Parker comes home one day to find a padlock on the bedroom door. But Miss Parker's got a reason. She says it's because she was hiding Christmas presents for her 8-year-old who still believes in Santa. Mr. Parker thinks there might be dirty photos or something fishy going on. The suspense is insane.
I'm not going to let him go in there and see what he's getting for Christmas because he still believes in Santa.
Then why did when I asked you so I could go in there and go in
You didn't have anything left in there.
Because you threw everything out.
Did you lock your husband out too?
I locked that bedroom door because I didn't trust him and didn't want him in that room. He didn't have anything in there. I didn't see a point in him going in there.
What did you think was going on in this bedroom, Mr. Parker?
And here's the real kicker, folks. Mr. Parker wasn't even told about the baby's birth until a week later. He wasn't at the birth. He's never seen the baby, and he's been paying for a lawyer for a DNA test. He's cut all communication, wanting to handle things legally. But wait, there's a witness. Mr. Parker's mom, Miss Perez, steps up to the plate and throws some shade. She claims Miss Parker would dump Mr. Parker at his mom's house and only call him back on payday. And she hopes the baby isn't her son's because she doesn't want him tied to Miss Parker for 18 years. Ouch!
Message on her answering machine because she hadn't told us anything.
Did you accompany her to doctor's appointments?
No,
You're
I was
actively
not allowed
involved?
to, ma'am. I was told I was too annoying and I needed to stay home. At this point, I didn't know if she was taking another man or family or who.
Miss Parker, did you tell your husband he was annoying and needed to stay home and you didn't want him to go to your doctor's appointment?
I told him that I didn't need somebody holding my hand at a doctor's appointment.
And ma'am, I'd like to enter into evidence the birth certificate. It has on it that...
Please let me see that birth certificate.
Now, Miss Parker's got receipts, literally. She hands over a list of expenses for baby Zachariah totaling $3,691.50. But Mr. Parker is sticking to his story, saying he's not the daddy. The tension in the courtroom was thick, and just when you think it can't get any crazier, the judge asks for the birth certificate. And what do we see? Refused! The baby's dad is a mystery man.
Born within your marriage. And
Yes,
yet,
Your Honor.
as I review your evidence...
And this shows that I was not even on the certificate, and this is a federal document that was not shown that shows that she lied to the doctors, lied to the hospital, and lied to me.
She didn't lie to them. I didn't lie. The hospital, didn't put him on the birth certificate because of the marital problems, because of what I had experienced. He wasn't allowed at the hospital.
Let me be clear.
Fast forward to the big moment, and the judge was ready to reveal if Mr. Parker was the father or not. You could hear a pin drop in the courtroom. Everyone was on the edge of their seats. The DNA test results were in, and it was time for this dysfunctional couple to know the truth.
Mr. Parker, you are his father.
I told you. Told you.
It was difficult to watch a husband and a wife go at it like that. And then just when I thought there was very little hope this could work.
Buckle up, because today we're diving into a paternity court case that's got more twists than a pretzel factory. We're talking about a 22-year-old paternity mystery, and guys, this one's a tearjerker.
For today, because you say she hid the identity of your father from you for 14 years. Now today, there's a man waiting outside of the courtroom that your mother believes could be your biological father, yet you still have no idea if that's...
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Hall, you admit you let your daughter believe that the man who raised her was her father, knowing that it was a lie.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Curtis has been living a lie for 14 whole years. She thought one man was her daddy, but nope. Her mom, Miss Hall, had been keeping the real tea on the DL. And guess what? There's a dude outside the courtroom who might be her real pops. Talk about a daytime drama.
My grandmother, she sat me down and she said that she wanted to tell me the truth about who my father really is to be, and that my mother has been lying to me for the past years of my life, which was time was 14 years old, and that the man at the time was not my father. She said to me, I want you to take it to your grave if your mother never owns up and tell you yourself. And I said, okay. And I felt that it was the truth because I always felt like I was adopted.
Miss Curtis tells the court how her grandma dropped the bomb on her, revealing that her whole life was basically an episode of Who's Your Daddy? She always felt like something was off, like maybe she was adopted because her dad was colder than the Arctic.
That it was the truth because I always felt like I was adopted. My father, he really never really showed me the affection, the love at all.
Actually, Your Honor, yes, I did not tell my daughter at a young age about who her father was. Simply one, because I was a young girl. I was pregnant at the age of 15. I gave birth to her when I was 16 years old. When I was 15, I met Kirk, and Kirk lived pretty much like a fast lifestyle.
Now, Miss Hall has a story that's wilder than a roller coaster. She got pregnant super young at 15 and was messing around with a guy named Kirk who lived life in the fast lane. But when she got knocked up, she wasn't sure who the father was. Drama! Fast forward a bit, and Miss Hall has her daughter believing another guy is her father. But then she switches up the story faster than a DJ at a club, throwing yet another name into the mix. Miss Curtis had no idea what was going on.
And Kirk lived pretty much like a fast lifestyle. Okay. And, you know, which attracted me to him. And being young, at the time when I got pregnant, I didn't even know that I was pregnant because I didn't know anything about the body.
You didn't know what it meant? You were just so young?
Yes.
And then what happened?
About a month passed by, and I would say I started my cycle, and I was like, oh, wow, you know, I was shocked. Okay, well, maybe I'm not.
I'm not.
Finally, her mom comes clean and says, actually, your dad's name is Kirk, and Miss Curtis is vindicated. The courtroom was shook when Miss Curtis revealed she'd been pen pals with Kirk while he was in prison. She's trying to bond with the man who might be her father, and those letters are packed with emotions. Kirk was out there making promises like a politician during an election, saying he'd be the father she always needed.
And already told me. She told me another name. She didn't tell me Kirk's name. She gave me another name. So I said, oh, I'm just so happy. I'm going to call Nana and I'm going to tell her that such and such is my dad. And then she goes, oh, no, I need to tell you the truth. I said, well, what is the truth? I thought you said such and such is my dad. She goes, no, really, your dad's name is Kirk.
Plot twist! Miss Hall wrote a letter to Kirk but never sent it. Then someone else in the family found it and mailed it off. It's like a mystery novel up in here. The judge was serving up the truth like a hot plate at a buffet, trying to get to the bottom of this paternity pickle. And Kirk? He's in the courtroom now, talking about how he wasn't sure if Miss Curtis was his because Miss Hall had other guys on the line.
When Tamika initially told me, hey, I'm pregnant, you're the father. But as I remember, she was also in a relationship with someone else. That was actually convenient for me being that I was with somebody. So, I mean, I'll take my part, hey.
Miss Curtis is feeling all the feels, saying her mom and Kirk are like professional liars. She's been tossed around in a sea of lies, and she's just trying to find a life raft of truth. So here we are, hearts racing, palms sweaty, waiting for the big reveal. Will Kirk step up to the plate? Is he the father? Or is this just another episode in the never-ending saga of Miss Curtis's life?
Mr. Whitaker, you are her father. How you feel, Miss Curtis?
I feel really good. I'm really happy to have my dad.
You are?
I'm overwhelmed, yeah.
I'm happy for her. And I just want to see the best. I just want the best for her, and I want her to.
Well, you know what I think is wonderful about the truth? That the truth, I always say, is the most important foundation we can all stand on.
All right, so picture this. Miss Mackenzie is accusing Mr. Guy of bailing on her and their daughter, Ania, right after she was born. And get this, she claims he's denying paternity because he's already got a football team worth of kids, plus the bench. We're talking 13 kids, folks.
Mackenzie, you say Mr. Guy abandoned you and your daughter, Anaya, soon after she was born, and denies he's her father only because he already has too many kids.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Guy, you say you knew this wasn't your child from the moment Miss Mackenzie said she was pregnant. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss Mackenzie, when did you first realize that he denied he was your daughter's father?
Well, when I told him that I was pregnant, he kind of like was shocked a little bit. Then he was like, she gonna be my 13th daughter, like.
But wait, Mr. Guy only mentioned 8 kids. And then, plot twist, he suddenly jumps to 13 when she tells him she's pregnant. Talk about a numbers game. The audience was buzzing when Miss Mackenzie dropped the bomb that she went to college with one of Mr. Guy's kids. And get this, Mr. Guy is 45 and Miss Mackenzie is 28. The crowd lost it.
We was in college together with one of his kids. And then like when I asked him
how
about
old
that-
are you?
I'm 28.
And how old are you, Mr. Guy?
45.
Oh boy. Okay, so when did you realize he was denying your child? That he said this is not my child?
After I had her, he was at the hospital and everything. When he brought us home, he just like basically set her on the floor in her car seat. He was like, I gotta go run an errand. And he never came back. So he just left her there. Like he just left us there for like months.
Now here's where it gets juicy. Miss Mackenzie says that after she brought baby Ania home from the hospital, Mr. Guy just ditched them. He said he had an errand, but the dude went MIA for months. Can you believe that? Fast forward, and Mr. Guy is claiming he's been avoiding her calls because she was, and I quote, harassing him. But come on, man, she's just trying to get you to be a dad.
Hey, you had to trick him. You had to call him from your friend's phone so
And
he
he
wouldn't
answered.
recognize the number
Yes.
for him to answer because he had not been answering your call.
Yes.
Mr. Guy, have you been avoiding her calls all that time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why?
She was harassing me.
Harassing you about what?
Baby this, baby that.
'Cause
I'm
she's your
like,
baby.
That ain't my baby, you know.
Okay.
It's milkman's baby, somebody's baby,
Milkman.
but it wasn't mine.
Excuse me.
Why did you say it wasn't yours? Were you sleeping with her?
And Mr. Guy has the audacity to say that the baby doesn't deserve anything from him. But wait, put down the pitchforks, folks. Let's get to the bottom of this first. According to him, he saw Miss Mackenzie with some other guy in a car. But Ms. Mackenzie claimed that the guy in question was just a friend giving her a ride. This is getting interesting.
She was sitting in the car with somebody, and they was there for a while because we was sitting up there watching them. So
What were they doing in the car?
I thought they was having sex.
Really?
Can I say something? That night that he's talking about, I called him and he told me to come over to his house. When I got there, he was not there. So when I was leaving, my friend that lives down the street from him saw me and gave me a ride. We were parked by my house, in front of our house, talking.
Were you sleeping with anybody else while you were having? What is this relationship? Are you all boyfriend and girlfriend or what?
Now here's where the plot thickens. Mr. Guy starts playing detective, saying he caught Miss Mackenzie coming home at midnight when her classes ended at 4:55 p.m. He even brought a schedule to court as Exhibit A. But Miss Mackenzie had an alibi. She was working a night job cleaning offices.
45. Went to pick my son up and came back home and did my homework, and I did that every day. As far as him saying I got home at midnight, when I was going to school, I was also working third shift, cleaning college offices downtown.
I don't remember that job.
Because you weren't there. You even
Remember
told me
that
his friend even worked there with me. His friend worked there with me. He makes up stories because he has to make me look bad for the fact that.
So what you're
that's
saying
bad.
is you were not sleeping with anyone else?
No. I was
There's
not.
no other possibility.
No.
Mr. Guy?
I think it's a lot of possibilities.
But wait, there's more! Mr. Guy talks about this mystery man on the couch at Miss Mackenzie's place, and she's like, who? I don't know this man. It's like a soap opera, folks. Then Miss Mackenzie's mom steps up and she's fuming. She's calling out Mr. Guy for clubbing and vanishing for days while denying her granddaughter. And let's be real, the guy's got a track record of Houdini acts.
He goes to the club, he might not even come in for 2 or 3 days.
2 or 3 days?
Yes.
What's with all these disappearing acts, Mr. Guy?
He
I was
be a
stressed.
magician.
You were stressed?
Yeah, she stressed me.
He says I stress him because I feel like if we're adults and we live together, we're trying to build a family, you should be doing your part as much as I'm doing my part. If we're a unit, we're a unit. And if he's slacking, I feel like I should have to build him up if he's slacking. I'm gonna tell you, get it together. If I'm stressing you, it's because I wanna help our family.
So, Judge Lake is trying to make sense of Mr. Guy's story. And let's just say, it's not looking too good for him. He's on the birth certificate, but he's all like, that's not my signature. Yeah, right, buddy. Miss Mackenzie is heartbroken, saying she just wanted a family. And Mr. Guy hasn't even seen Ania in 2 years. That's right, 2 years.
You never executed anything?
No.
Just somehow your name got up on that birth certificate?
He held my hand through birth.
I'm just
He
seeing
said
where
he was
the
the only
signature
person
at.
there.
I don't
He was
I
the only
see it
person
typed
there
up
when I had
there.
my daughter. He held my hand during birth.
And then just dropped you off at the house?
Like we was nothing. Like we was nothing.
Why did you even come to the hospital? If it wasn't your child, why even show?
Because he was at my house. Because he was living there. He was at my house when I went into labor. I went into labor at home.
The tension is through the roof as Judge Lake receives the DNA results. Everyone's on the edge of their seats. Will Mr. Guy step up or will he keep running from responsibility? Let's find out.
Are her father. Now what, Mr. Guy? Speak.
I feel pretty much ashamed. I would like to be a father to her.
When's the last time you saw her?
Maybe 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Let me tell you something. Get yourself together.
I hope you're ready to be left in shock because this case will most definitely leave you in shock. Mr. Elliott believed he wasn't the father of their 10-month-old son. Why? The child was named after a different man. It's gonna be one hell of a paternity drama. Let's dive right into it.
Mr. Elliott, you say you do not believe you are the father of Ms. Hall's son because at the time he was conceived, Ms. Hall was in a relationship with another man and later gave her child his last name.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Ms. Hall, you admit you have no idea who fathered your son.
Yes, ma'am.
You acknowledge you slept with another man, but say that was only because you were confused and didn't know who you wanted to be with at the time.
You could see in both of their eyes that they didn't trust each other at all. Mr. Elliott wasted no time in detailing his doubts about why the child wasn't his. He claimed that anytime he and Miss Hall got into an argument, she would always go back to her ex. Things are about to get really tricky here, guys. I hope your eyes are locked in.
After we'd get into an argument and fight, she'd go back to his house every time.
Only because you would make me go back to his house.
No, I wouldn't make you go back anywhere.
Make you go back to his house?
How can I make anybody do something they don't want to do?
What do you mean by that, Ms. Hall?
Your Honor, when somebody fights with you so much to the point where you just have to.
I mean, we'd sit there and argue. She'd pick arguments about stuff. We'd argue, and it seemed like she'd argue just so she could leave to go back to his house.
Little by little, the bomb started to explode in the courtroom. Of course, Mr. Elliott would get mad whenever she went back to her ex. But did Miss Hall really care about his feelings? You can bet she didn't. She even said she enjoyed going back to her ex. Damn, that definitely hurts if you ask me.
Were you intimate with him when you went back?
Sometimes yes, Your Honor, and sometimes no.
So let me get to this period of conception when Noah was conceived.
She got pregnant, okay?
Okay.
And we decided we was going to be together after they split up, and we broke up, and she went back to live at his house again.
All right, so you back at the ex's house again.
Yes.
Now the cracks in their relationship started to show, and Mr. Elliott was taking a lot of arrows to his heart. Miss Hall claimed that he knew the kind of person she was from the beginning. So why is he acting surprised that she cheated? Trust me, I'm as speechless as you are right now.
Tell me, what do you mean by that?
Well, I was with him and the other guy. He knew that before he even started a relationship with me.
Is that true, Mr. Elliott? Were you aware of it?
Yes, I was aware of it, but when we started talking and everything, and after she broke up with him, then we decided, she said she had feelings for me. I told her I had feelings for her. We started a relationship, so I thought she started a new commitment with me. She wouldn't do what she'd done before with him.
It was turning into a charade of deceit and lies. Miss Hall sure wasn't playing nice in their relationship. She claimed she loved Mr. Elliott and her ex at the same time. How's that even possible? To make things worse, Mr. Elliott didn't even know she had a kid. Trust me, it's crazy on all levels.
So you say you love him, and you also love your ex, right?
Not as much as I do Max.
Okay.
When she had the baby, I didn't even know she had the baby. I wasn't even allowed to come up there to see it. I wanted to be there.
Wait a minute.
I wanted to be at the hospital when he was born. I
You
wasn't
weren't allowed to come
I'm
up
sorry,
there?
if he could find a ride himself, Your Honor, he could have came up there. That's his fault.
No.
Now, when Miss Hall found out she was pregnant, she didn't tell Mr. Elliott about that. Guess what she did? She made her ex believe he was the father of the child, all because he had money. I mean, I really feel sad for Mr. Elliott right now. That's just heartbreaking.
That time when you were at the hospital, had you made your ex believe this was his son?
Yes, Your Honor, I did. He gave me the comfort, the love, or the financial stability that I needed for me and my kid.
And so at what point did you then decide that Noah was Max's son?
I slept with both of them in the same week. Monday I slept with one, and then Friday I slept with another.
Say about 3 months into the pregnancy, she broke up.
I was confused. I didn't know who the father was.
Miss Hall was an unbelievable woman. She had no idea who the biological father of the child was. All she knew was that the baby looked like Mr. Elliott a lot more than he looked like her ex. Some ladies just take things too damn far. I mean, how do you know who the real father is?
You have the date you slept with your ex.
Yes, Your Honor.
Circled in blue would be the estimated time of conception.
Yes, Your Honor, but Noah was also a month early, so it also made me really confused about if Mr. Elliott was or if the other man was his dad. I think the baby looks like Mr. Elliott a lot more than I do the other guy because he has the forehead. Look at him.
I guess it's high time we brought this paternity war zone to a close. Will it be all nice, Mr. Elliott, knowing it's his child? Or would it be the ex-boyfriend who Miss Hall always ran to? The answer to that question sits like a princess in the envelope. Let the truth be told.
Mr. Elliott, you are not Noah's father.
Really don't know what to say right now, except no matter what, I want to be in his life, and I hope she still lets me be the father I've been to him already.
No matter what, you'll always be the father to him, and I'm willing to do anything and everything to show you that.
I really hope you are, because you know that boy is my life.
This was just all shades of mind-blowing. Miss Fisher grew up as a child with 2 different dads playing the father figure in her life. As if that wasn't bad enough, her mother has no idea who the real father is. It's a burst of emotions, and I hope you're ready for all the juice.
Miss Fisher, you say your mother, Ms. Johnson, raised you not knowing which of 2 men is your biological father. Today, you are hoping to finally get that answer because both men have been tested and we will meet them shortly. Now, Ms. Johnson, you argue that you've always had doubts about your daughter's paternity, but since both potential fathers have taken part in her life,
Miss Fisher has been in a loop about who is my real daddy all her life. You can guess who caused all of that. Her mother, of course. She felt one man was her dad, and when she turned 10, she found out another man could possibly be her father. Miss Johnson sure has a lot of explaining to do.
tell me a little bit about this.
I've been grown up thinking that one man was my father, but at the age of 10, I find out it could possibly be somebody else.
So you grew up believing that Calvin was your father, and that's Mr. Triplet.
Yes.
And he'll be joining us in a moment.
Yes. And then
Keep going.
At 10 years old, John comes around
and that's Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Fisher.
While Miss Fisher was in 3rd grade, she found out the most shocking thing. Her name was changed and she had no damn idea who did it. When she asked her mom, she couldn't give her a direct answer. If I were in her shoes, I'd be furious as hell.
He went down there and got my last name changed. And here you go.
Hold on. That's evidence?
Yes, he went down there and got my last name changed. My
Well, let
last
me
name
see
was
that.
Brooks. He changed it to Fisher. And this, she said she didn't know, but
Well,
she
I
had
knew
to be
you-
there.
Well, I
in
was
order-
there to get the name changed. Exactly. This is how it all came
So
about.
this is your birth certificate. It originally had one man's name, and now it's been changed to Fisher.
It was time to ask Miss Johnson what really happened and where all the mix-up came from. What did she do? She gave a long-ass story about how one man was there at the time and how the other was nowhere to be found. It just keeps getting worse. Even the judge is amazed by what she's hearing.
You decided it was Mr. Fisher.
Yeah.
Why did you tell everyone that Mr. Triplet was your daughter's father for 10 years?
He was there. Okay, at the time. Listen, I never told John and I never told Calvin. I never told John and I never told Calvin.
So you telling me that this man is just raising this little girl, but you've never told him this is your child?
Exactly.
Mr. Fisher, who happens to be one of the dads, walks into the courtroom. The moment he opens his mouth, all eyes in the courtroom go straight to Miss Johnson with so much shock. He had quite a lot to say about why he wasn't in Miss Fisher's life for the first 10 years.
Now, Mr. Fisher,
Yes, ma'am.
you now contend that this beautiful young lady, Miss Fisher, is your daughter.
Yes.
But for the first 10 years of her life, you weren't there.
I was there, but I wasn't there to walk her through her way as a young woman, or as a child to a young woman. From that time she was born, she's 10, but I have always been in her life as far as that part, and I was always contributing money to her mom.
Heads were about to roll in the courtroom because the stories being told in the courtroom were nothing short of surprising. Miss Johnson had never been the truthful kind of woman from the beginning. I mean, she didn't tell Mr. Fisher that the kid was his, adding more spice to the already complicated situation. She allowed him to take care of the baby. Who does that?
You just told the court that you always thought it was his baby. Why didn't you tell him?
I just kind of beat around the bush and I just did. And that was my chance. And I had a lot of chances to tell
Okay,
him at that time.
all right. Bottom line is, when she comes by in the van with the baby, you say to yourself, this could be my child, but since she didn't say anything definitive to me, you just didn't say anything at all and walked away.
Yes, I did.
Apparently, Miss Johnson had been feeding Mr. Triplet, who happened to be the second baby daddy in the picture, some crazy lies. She told him he was the father of Miss Fisher for the first 10 years after her birth. I guess we know who the problem here is now, don't we?
We've been trying to understand this issue surrounding Kalina, Miss Fisher's paternity, and what we've come to understand is that for the entire first 10 years of her life, she thought you were her father.
That's correct. I did too.
Did Ms. Johnson ever explicitly say to you, this is your child?
Yes, she did. Actually, we were living together for 7 years.
Well, the moment we've all been waiting for is here, and the truth is about to be revealed, people. It's been one tricky ride here, but all that suspense is about to be over. I hope you guys are ready, because I am.
When it comes to the paternity of 26-year-old Kalina Fisher, it has been determined that her father is Mr. Triplet.
I still love you, baby. Don't nothing change, Calvin. You've
Mr.
been found this
Triplet?
long, man.
Yes.
Are you happy today? You said that you wanted her to be your daughter.
Yes, I always thought.
Do you think you've heard the most shocking thing ever? Well, I'm here to tell you that you haven't. Miss Prowl found herself in one of the most insane situations anyone can ever find themselves in. Does she get out of it? Well, let's find out.
Ms. Prowl, now you're asking the court to award you $475 in back child care expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Should one of 3 men be identified as your baby's biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
You say your 6-week-old baby has 3 potential fathers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Including the defendant, Mr. Morton.
Yes, Your Honor.
This was just beyond unbelievable. Trust me, Miss Prowl happened to be intimate with not just one coworker, but with 3 different coworkers at the same time. Well, Miss Prowl sure seems to be a busy woman, if you ask me.
Mr. Morton, you say that the endless list of men Ms. Prowl has slept with has led you all here to paternity court. You believe it'll be proven today that you are not her baby's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
What upsets you most about this situation?
Well, in this situation, I was under the impression that was, me and her pretty much against the world, I've come to find out that she's slept around with one guy, then another guy.
Now Miss Prowl and Mr. Morton happen to find themselves in a beautiful relationship, or so they claim. Then things start to take a nosedive, and she finds out that her baby daddy is fooling around with another girl on Twitter. Does the relationship go on from there? I'm sure you know the answer to that.
Ms. Prowl, you started a relationship with Mr. Morton.
Yes.
And it's going pretty well?
Yes, the relationship was going wonderful in the beginning. Now, a couple of months in, I'm finding out there's another woman.
What evidence do you have of that?
On his Twitter account, he's talking to a young lady saying these things that I can't say in
Sexual
court.
things.
Yes.
It turns into a charade of 2 disloyal lovers. Both of them start to play the blame game, saying they both cheated on each other first. While Mr. Morton is talking to one of his co-workers at work, he hears the most shocking news about his girlfriend. Trust me, your jaws are gonna drop.
He asked me, was I involved with Miss Prowl? Now, I told him yes. We had a little thing going on at the time. It wasn't very, very serious. Well, he was like, well, I hope
you're listening
you don't.
to other people, though. You're listening
I
to
hope
other
you don't
people.
get too serious with her
He doesn't,
because
Your Honor,
I have already
He doesn't even know this
slept with
person.
her.
He doesn't. Someone else just comes up to him, and I'm not going to lie, it is true, but what if he would have said some other things?
Oh, Miss Prowl sure knew how to fool around with the men. Apparently, while she was with Mr. Morton, she was getting with another guy. When she was asked why she did it, her reply was nothing but hilarious. Trust me.
Tell me, Ms. Prowl, a little bit about your relationship with Mr. Gaddis.
Well, Your Honor, there's really no relationship. We met at a party. I was drinking hard liquor. We were talking, just chit-chatting, nothing serious, and we went in the back and had sex, of course.
The conversation about the third coworker pops up in the courtroom, and Miss Prowl is in the hot seat again. She openly told the court that she got intimate with him to make Mr. Morton jealous. Why? She found out he was also cheating. Well, that's not surprising.
So I said, okay, you didn't put a ring on my finger. You want to go talk to other people? Fine, I can do the same thing. So that's what I did, and I do feel terrible about the decisions I made because 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Right?
It doesn't make it
You
right for me to go
recognize
do
that
it.
this is 3 wrongs, though.
Yes, Your Honor.
The courtroom goes up in flames when Mr. Lowry, one of the co-workers, comes in to give his side of the story. Apparently, he never knew Miss Prowl was pregnant. She claimed she didn't want him to be the father of her child, which is why she never told him. Wait, what? Do you really get to pick who plays the role? She's delusional. Trust me.
So you were sleeping with 3 co-workers from the sandwich shop?
Yes, Your Honor.
You contacted 2 of them to say you were pregnant, but you never contacted him?
Yes, Your Honor. But I do not want him to be my child's father.
Well, you can't control that, can you?
Possibly to be the father.
No one is talking to you.
Wow.
I didn't know you could pick.
Let me make something clear.
The courtroom was buzzing with anticipation, and these guys seemed to be only good at one thing, bickering with each other. The judge, sensing potential future drama, wrapped up the case and went straight for the results.
The father is Mr. Morton. Are those tears of joy or just relief?
I do feel remorseful. And can I say a couple of things to these gentlemen?
Yes.
I do apologize for, I'm guessing you did want to know. I do apologize. I do apologize to you for cheating on you.
If you want to be here with me and the baby, that's fine. If not, I totally understand.
Now, this wasn't her first time coming to the paternity court. She had been here before. Guess what? The initial reason that brought her here is the same damn reason that she's here again. Some people don't just learn. I hope you guys are ready. It's gonna be one traumatizing show.
You appeared in our courtroom previously and tested 2 men as potential fathers of your 1-month-old son, Malcolm.
Yes, Your Honor.
Unfortunately, neither turned out to be his biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, today, you believe Malcolm's biological father is a good friend of your mother's, the defendant, Mr. Spence.
Yes, Your Honor.
I hope you guys are ready to hear some of the most shocking things to ever be said. Miss Kavanaugh was no good girl, trust me. She had been quite mischievous. This time around, she didn't just get intimate with any random guy. She got intimate with her mom's friend. She has some serious balls, trust me.
You say there's a chance you could be Malcolm's father. Miss Kavanaugh.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your mother's friend?
Yes, Your Honor. I know how bad it sounds. It is bad. I started calling him up, asking for like rides, to the grocery store, to get stuff from my house. And subconsciously, I was trying to try to seduce him.
The things Miss Kavanaugh said would make a priest want to go to confession. They were beyond this world, believe me. Mr. Sense, on the other hand, didn't sound convincing when defending himself. I mean, do you just randomly sleep with your friend's daughter? Hell no!
Did you end up being in the position you were sleeping with your really good friend's daughter?
It was like she said, came over a couple of times. She was in inappropriate gear. First time, I shunned it off. Second time, I said, hey, watch yourself. Third time, it's starting to look good.
Listening to everything that pops out of both their mouths was really uncomfortable. But let's proceed, shall we? I mean, there was 1-month-old kid involved. These two really do need some counseling.
How many times were you intimate with her?
Once.
Just once?
Just once.
Just one time, Ms. Kavanaugh?
Your Honor, I do not believe it to be once. It was at least twice, but that's just how I remember it.
And now, we have Malcolm, 1 month old, and your mother's friend could be his biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Moving on! When Miss Kavanaugh found out she was pregnant, Mr. Spence's name did not pop up in her head as the potential father. Damn! Apparently she wasn't just fooling around with him. I would definitely give her an ass whooping if she were my child.
I thought Mr. Bowles was the dad. Well, after the court, I started thinking, well, he could be a possibility that Mr. Spence is the father. And I texted him and I asked him, when was the last time we had sex? He told me it was the end of October.
And when was Malcolm born?
He was born July 9th.
Miss Kavanaugh's mom took the stand, and oh boy, did she have a lot to say about her daughter and her so-called friend. She said she noticed the eye contact they gave each other when they met. Deep down in her heart, she knew something was gonna go down.
How did it feel to learn that your daughter was sleeping with your very good friend?
It was very devastating, just because the relationship was inappropriate. I felt betrayed. Actually, when we were together, like all in the same room, I noticed them looking at each other a little differently.
You did?
Yeah, I knew my gut.
The woman's
told,
intuition.
Exactly.
The courtroom was filled with nothing short of shock. The most insane revelations start to surface, and these two had a lot of explaining to do. Another epic blockbuster takes the stage. Mr. Spencer happens to be married. I knew this guy had some secrets. He was willing to be the father, but he sure had doubts.
Well, Mr. Spence, let me ask you this. Are you in a relationship?
I'm married.
Okay. Now I do understand why you're hoping he's not your child.
That's not what I'm hoping.
What are you hoping?
I hope for the truth. If he is my son, like I told her, I'm gonna be there.
Why exactly do you have doubts?
My doubt is, first of all, it was only once.
Well, the suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Spence and Miss Kavanaugh. All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth.
Mr. Scott, you are not his father. Are you ready for the next result? You okay?
Hey, I'm just nervous.
Mr. Spence, you are not his father.
It's okay.
Miss Kavanaugh, we back here again. I know this isn't where you wanted to be.
It's okay.
We have a second timer here. Mr. Scott was previously questioning another woman, and now he had another one. However, Ms. Kalon appeared chill and had a tale of vanishing acts and online romance. Get ready for a paternity bombshell that'll leave you questioning if this is real life or just another episode of Who's Your Daddy?
Mr. Scott, denying you fathered the defendant, Miss Kalon's 4-month-old daughter, Ezra, in today's paternity results will clear your name.
Yes, Sean.
So in the world of digital romance, their love story blossomed like a bad Tinder date. They met online, chatted for 3 weeks to a month. Who's counting, right? And things got super cozy. But beware, this isn't your typical lovey-dovey narrative. Nope, it's a saga of suspicious phone snooping and trust issues that could make even Romeo and Juliet cringe.
You guys had a date?
Yeah, well, you know, the reason why I went through your phone, is because her phone.
He had no reason to go through my phone.
Her phone didn't ring all day, so I got suspicious.
So you felt like since her phone didn't ring,
Yeah, something was fishy.
something was up. Maybe she had it on silent.
Something was
or...
fishy.
As Miss Kalon spills the tea, she unveils Mr. Scott's sudden disappearance, suspecting another woman in the shadows. Scott's accusations lead to doubts, and the court becomes a stage for hurt feelings, trust issues, and a dash of online espionage. The drama unfolds as they question the foundation of their relationship.
You weren't in a committed relationship, right?
Yeah.
No, not at that time. No, at the time of upon of her arrival.
No, see, that's why he's stuttering,
Women, you
because
don't
he's
even
lies.
know. Who am I married
Upon
to?
her
Who am I
arrival,
committed to?
we was together.
Oh boy, baby daddy seemed to be ready to give all the facts and more, but the plot thickens when mommy reveals him to be a big fat liar. It's an insane tale of revelations, motel mysteries, and intimate details all leading to the pregnancy.
You're saying, Miss Kalon, that you got pregnant the very first time
Yes.
you visited him.
Yes. Yes.
The very first time.
Very first
She's
time.
saying
we
she
had
got
sex
pregnant
a good
the
5
first
times.
time she came to visit.
Obviously,
For real, I mean, don't get it twisted. We had sex a good 5 times that night.
Things were heating up, and they were about to heat some more. It seems these guys had issues with each other for not picking up the phone when the other called. Oh, this seems like a messy web, and we all are left wondering, who's fooling whom?
That's what it was.
Signs that
If I call you at 12
notes
o'clock
from
at
himself.
night, if I call you at 12 o'clock at night, not once, not twice, not 3, not 4, and you don't answer the phone, something's wrong.
Somebody's sleeping.
And then call. And
But nobody's been awake all night.
You can't call me the next. You cannot call me the next day at 11:30 and say I was sleeping.
The plaintiff, the self-proclaimed smart man, delves into the evidence he found in the mommy's phone. By the looks of it, a few questionable pictures were enough for him to doubt the woman big time.
Mr.
Yeah,
Scott,
man, you
you
don't do that.
submitted this evidence to the court.
Yeah.
You were
These
supposed
are
to be
the
my
pictures.
man. I was sending you something to keep you
I never
happy being
received that
alone in
picture.
this relationship.
You
Are
didn't
you
get that
serious?
picture.
I never received that picture.
That's one of the first pictures I sent you. I don't
takes
take
pictures
pictures like
in
that, Your Honor.
lingerie?
Come on now.
Moving on, mommy claimed to have never been in love with the guy. However, it appears these guys did share a few mutual qualities that ended up attracting them. Though, safe to say, it was a rocky relationship with doubts about commitment. Oh, they both did not trust one another.
I would come down and see him almost every weekend. How was that not feeling you or
True.
be
But
into our
at the same
relationship?
time, there was other dudes
You
talking
would
about,
hide me.
I'm going to
Every
Lancaster
time I
to
went
visit
down there,
my
I never
friend.
met nobody.
And he says, oh, I can't wait to see you when you come back. Oh, I miss you too. Why? I'm not your friend. If I'm your dude, I'm your man.
Well, Mr. Scott seemed to be thrilled by the news first. Or so the baby mama says. Dreams of a happy family were shared and everything. However, it all went down the drain when the baby came into the world.
Did you want to be a family with him?
I mean, it was what it was. I wasn't sure if that's what I
What
wanted.
was
He
it?
wanted me to move to
Wait, you said it was what it was. What
I
was
mean,
it?
I just met him not long before that.
said,
You know,
I'm
I
up
was
in the moon
kind
on
of like
Sacramento,
blurry
man.
about it
That
myself.
weird
You know,
city.
who does that? Who gets pregnant the first time they go see somebody?
All hell breaks loose then. Next up, Ms. Kalon was countersuing the plaintiff for childcare expenses and loan payments as well. Yep, the guy was in debt, though he didn't believe that himself. He was quick to shut that down.
Money she sent you, was it a loan?
No,
Yes, it was loan.
no. It wasn't no loan. Why did I get a loan from her? I mean, I worked.
You
at the
act
time.
like
I
I'm speaking blasphemy. I just
No,
asked,
it's
was
not
it a loan?
Yeah.
No, it was not a loan. Not
Okay,
at all.
what was it?
I said I needed it, and she gave it
What
to me every
was
other
me taking
day.
care of somebody that obviously couldn't take care of herself?
The courtroom was buzzing with anticipation, and these guys seemed to be only good at one thing, bickering with each other. The judge, sensing potential future drama, wrapped up the case and went straight for the results.
Mr. Scott, you are not the father.
I could be woman enough to apologize and keep it moving.
Mr. Jones and Miss Dolis have to be the funniest couple on the paternity court show. Their love story bounces from cheating to lying to deceiving. You just name it. From one charade to the next, these two find themselves in court, dragging each other for who is the better parent. Buckle up, people. You're about to be dumbfounded by this couple's drama.
Ms. Douglas, you are suing the father of your 5 children for a paternity test. You claim at times the defendant, Mr. Jones, doesn't treat your daughter, Cheyenne, as his own, and that he has always been suspicious that he's not her biological father.
Getting down into the bits of this drama, right from the beginning of the case, Miss Douglas admitted to cheating on Mr. Jones. She apparently slept with his cousin. Now that's all shades of crazy if you ask me. Here's the shocking thing. Mr. Jones was no saint. He was also cheating on her with her own cousin and one of his baby mamas. I would have lost my mind if I were the judge, honestly.
Your Honor, I do, because I did make a mistake. I slept with his cousin, and the condom had broke. But before that, Tyrone was downstairs sleeping with my cousin. He was still having sex with his baby's mom. He was doing him, basically, but...
Just like in the movies, Mr. Jones and Mrs. Douglas met at a party. Things got pretty freaky and interesting after that, and they ended up getting pretty intimate. Well, I saw that coming. Prepare to be wowed! After her cozy night with Mr. Jones, she met his cousin and voila, she went down on him too. How does that even happen?
It got good. I met Tyrone actually at a party that happened downstairs in my building. I met him and his cousin almost the same night. Me and Tyrone got together the first night we watched movies. The next night we did have sex, but we weren't together. We just had sex, and after that he went back to his.
Things were starting to get heated up in the courtroom, with both of them staring into each other's eyes like it was about to be a bloodbath. Boom! Miss Douglas gets pregnant. Ring, ring, ring. She hits up and tells Mr. Jones that it's his baby. Things seem pretty nice, right? Well, let's burst some bubbles.
Yours.
I wasn't too sure about it when she told me, but I'm like, okay, when she did tell me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna step up and do what I gotta do.
So you did try to support her through this?
Yeah, I actually did.
I'm looking at you, Ms. Douglas, and you saying I didn't...
She finally decides to open up 2 damn years later, telling Mr. Jones that she had a thing with his cousin. You could see the rage in his eyes, wondering where and how it all went down. Just like that, good baby daddy starts to play the role of, I'm not sure this is my kid. I did tell you things were going to escalate.
And the truth, though, 2 years after my daughter was 2, I ended up telling him the truth.
So you go in and you smell, you know the cologne, your cousin, you say, okay, I know my cousin was here, but she denied everything. How long did it take you to tell the truth?
After my daughter was 2 years old.
Slowly, all hell starts to break loose. Miss Douglas spills the beans about Mr. Jones, telling the court how he wasn't there for her daughter and that he was taking care of his other kids with his baby mama. Yep, you had that right. Other kids. It's already a whole mess at this point. Everyone's asking, who's really telling the truth?
Chicago with his other's baby mama. We were together then, and I'm pregnant with his son. He went to Chicago. We didn't hear from him for about 4 months. Didn't call, check up on his daughter. Didn't call, check up on the pregnancy or nothing. How I knew he was in Chicago with his baby mama was she texted my phone like, oh, you're looking for your man? He's with me. You wonder why he's not calling your daughter? Because he's...
Emotions are flying here and there. Hold your seats for another bombshell, people. Trust me, your ears aren't ready for this. These couple have had other kids before their daughter, and they aren't even married. Are these two a baby factory, or what's going on with them?
You all 5 children potentially together. This was your relationship ever committed? Was it ever an important thing to either one of you? Are we just making babies? Is it a baby fact?
It's clear that these two had no trust for each other. Even after having more than 1 child together, they can't seem to bring themselves to trust each other. Why would they? I mean, after getting intimate with each other's cousins, that's beyond a far stretch.
Cheating.
Yeah, I just had my twins 7 months ago. He's still talking to women. I don't never talk to anybody first. After I find out he cheats on me, that's when I do it. But I really do want to be with him, and I want to make a family for my 5 kids.
Now, Ms. Douglas, you just keep saying, okay, now see, I do not...
Everything went from a peaceful conversation to a bloodbath, with the couples throwing tantrums about who got intimate with whom and who couldn't be a good parent. Well, the moment of truth is finally here. Every single eye is placed on the judge as she's about to reveal the final verdict. Hold your breath.
Mr. Jones, you are not fired.
After a ton of accusations, denials, and drama, Miss Amos was taking Mr. Johnson to court over a paternity puzzle involving her 2-month-old daughter. Hold on to your seats, folks, and get ready for some serious DNA drama.
Open your case today because you are furious that the defendant acknowledges your older child, London, yet denies paternity of your 2-month-old daughter, Paris, and does nothing for her. You claim he needs to step up once you prove that he is.
Let's dive into the love saga. Or should I say, lack of it? Mr. Johnson allegedly does zilch for Paris, claiming she might not be his spawn. Furthermore, he spilled the tea on text messages from mystery guys, which then led to the moment she found out she had bun in the oven. Now what reaction accompanied that news, huh?
I have my serious doubt that the baby's not mine. I done seen text messages on her phone from other guys saying, is you coming with me again tonight? I enjoyed myself. His name saved under a female name.
So, after swatting away the pregnancy bomb like a mosquito, the hurtful rejection echoed through the relationship. Ouch! It appears mommy had been fed up with daddy's playing with her, so she decided to give him a taste of his own medicine. No words for this stunt pulling.
You know, he wasn't ever home. And I have had my doubts and suspicions, and I have, caught him doing stuff. So, at the moment, I'm hurt. So I'm doing these things, out of emotions,
You playing the tit for tat game. He's doing it, so I can do it too. And you are having sex with somebody else during the time when you're having sex with Mr.
Now, Miss Amos landed smack dab in the middle of troubled waters. However, she managed to reach safety by claiming her tryst with the other dude was not during the wondrous time of conception. Now, the real question was whether this other possibility knew he might have a kid out here. Let's find out!
That I was pregnant. Of course, I was already having sex with him. We was already intimate or whatever. I had just recently, before I told him before I found out I was pregnant, I was just recently, messing with someone. It ain't like I just been messing with this guy.
Dear Lord, Missy had all the time to play the revenge game. But when the time came to put on big girl pants, she ran from her responsibility. However, she brought along a witness to support her claim, which she did, but had an eye-opening revelation amidst the court proceeding too.
Absolutely, she looks just like his other 2 kids.
So you have no doubt?
That's just me. I mean, the information that she gave today, that was new to me, so of course, I would have a doubt, but you know what I'm saying? She looks just...
Enter the next supporting cast, Miss Johnson, big sister of the defendant. And she had her version of the truth. By the looks of it, baby mama had told her something else entirely. In the heat of the moment, though. We're in for a courtroom showdown of epic proportions.
Antoinette Johnson.
Hi, Ms. Johnson. What is your relationship to the defendant?
This is my little brother.
Your brother testified that you witnessed Miss Amos with other guys.
I did.
She don't know who I know.
And not only that, she told me out her own mouth, this is not your brother's.
We're in for a courtroom showdown of epic proportions, people. Up till now, only one kid's paternity was under question. However, Miss Johnson claimed she suspected the oldest kid's paternity as well. Lauren Lake had her work cut out for her, so she went cracking. And boy, did she get to the bottom of the truth. Prepare to be speechless, people.
Reason to doubt?
She don't have any reason to doubt that London is his child. She never cared for me.
Miss Amos, I study a lot of body language in this court.
Moving on from that heartbreaking revelation, it was only fair we get to the nitty-gritty of mommy's relationship with the other guy now. Since their cozy equation had been going on for quite a long time. Man, Miss Amos was full of surprises.
Quite often?
It was pretty much a relationship.
It was pretty much a relationship?
Yes.
That you were having outside of the relationship you had with Mr. Johnson?
Yes, I've been actually knowing.
About time we draw the curtain on this paternity showdown. Will it be a double dose of daddy drama, or will the clouds of uncertainty finally clear? The key to the truth was in the envelope. Here goes nothing.
Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
This almost felt like betrayal on Mr. Patterson's path. After taking care of the baby and making sure he was present every day of the kid's life, Miss Knight wakes up one morning and says, he isn't the father. We're about to dive into a tale of delusion. Grab your pie and enjoy the ride.
Patterson, you opened your case today to prove that you are 4-year-old DeMarcus Patterson Jr.'s biological father. You named him and have cared for your junior since birth and are furious the defendant now claims another man is his.
We are about to enter the domain of questionable romance, where these guys' relationship wasn't exactly a fairy tale. A saga involving 2 men, a lady, and a 4-year-old boy.
You've been there since day one. Please explain.
I've been there since birth, you know, since he came out the womb, since he entered this world. When the doctor first, you know, held him up and finally gave him to him, I witnessed him just completely quit crying and look me dead in my eyes. And that's when, at that moment, I knew I became someone's father. So at that moment, like all the doubts that we had before, I just knew like they were just out the window.
Well, the doubts and reservations were running pretty deep over here. But no worries, because baby daddy went on a long rant explaining why he had his doubts. And boy, did he bag some solid points.
When?
That day that she left, I ain't hear from her for a month or two.
So wait, you're saying she just left the house and you didn't hear from her for a month or two?
Yeah, I was supposed to pick up from work, but my grandma made me feel worse about it because she was like, she knew she was too fast for me anyways, but.
Things started to take a different turn as the truth started to unfold. Ms. Knight was not a faithful partner. The tension started to fill the courtroom, and even Judge Lauren was amazed by the things she heard. Yup, they were crazy.
When you left, you ended up with Mr. Siegler.
Right.
Which is the other possible father.
Right. We ended up having protected sex that night, and then we ran out of condoms, and while we were doing it, I told him to go ahead and get me pregnant. That's what I told him. And
Miss Knight finds out she's pregnant. Well, that's not surprising. Accusations start flying about the courtroom like it's a competition. They go on making a fuss about what to name the baby. It turns into a whole charade and no one can make any sense of what's going on. The question I keep asking is how they even became a couple?
DeMarcus was there. He was there when my water broke. We woke him up, said, baby, my water broke. Time to go to the hospital. He hopped up. All right, let's do this. So we was in the hospital that whole day, had the baby. He didn't get to cut the umbilical cord because the doctor took it upon himself to cut it.
Yeah, he did
But
do that.
that was it. When he had the baby, DeMarcus looked over, said, that's my baby. We ain't naming him no Christian. We naming him DeMarcus.
There's a whole lot of craziness going on right now. As Judge Lauren starts to dig a little deeper, she starts to find out the most shocking things. And when I say shocking, trust me, your jaws are going to drop.
Oh, so you all were open about this?
Yes, we were always open. We would take rides to the gas station. He'd show me pictures of Ladarius. Like, you sure this ain't that? You sure this ain't?
I ain't gonna lie. First,
And we
I
were
was like,
open
hold
about
up.
it. All very open about it.
I started seeing his ears slant out, and I was like, hold up, you know? Just like, I don't.
Their stories stopped to make sense and add up. It sounded like it was being made up, and Judge Lauren just wasn't having it anymore. She asks the other man in the picture to step into the courtroom, and my God, did he have a lot to say.
Father.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
You do?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why do you believe that?
All right, in the midst of me and Kaylin having dealings or intimacy, I was the one who told her she was pregnant. And when I told her she was pregnant, she say, well, if you feel like that, take me.
Now this is where it all gets really messed up. When I say messed up, I mean really, really messed up. The 4-year-old boy calls both men daddy. How does a kid call 2 different men daddy? This really is a baby daddy war.
It's all of your mess.
Yeah.
Because if you're not the father, this 4-year-old young boy has your name. And if you are the father, he's still calling Mr. Siegler daddy too.
Hold your breath now, because the DNA test results were ready to be revealed. The tension was escalating, emotions running high, and the truth was about to hit like a plot twist. Who's the real baby daddy? Let's see.
Has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Sigler. You are DJ's biological father, Mr. Sigler.
Mr. Byram had no idea he was signing up for a lifetime of drama when he hooked up with Miss Morris. And my God, was their relationship more chaotic than a Mexican cartel. I hope you guys are ready for this baby daddy drama because it's going to leave you speechless. Trust me.
Kids together, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Byram, you say the plaintiff admitted to sleeping with another man, and when the results prove you are not Jackson's father, you plan to leave for good.
Yes, I do.
All right, so Mr. Byram, there's a lot at stake today, am I correct?
Our whole relationship is based on...
Face could tell you that he had been through the thicks and turns of a disloyal relationship. He didn't want to be part of that anymore. What was worse? He wasn't even sure if he was the father of their child. Believe me when I tell you, it was a hustle with these two. Now, Mr. Byram, playing the...
This time that she's cheated on me, this is the second time, and I've been nothing but faithful and loving to her since day one.
Second time, it happened once.
Ms. Morris, did you cheat on him?
Detective Roll had a funny feeling in his gut that his girlfriend had been messing around. He was hell-bent on proving it, so all his senses were alert, like he was Spider-Man throughout their relationship. What he uncovered would leave you speechless.
The window. And then that's when I started banging on the doors and the windows. And then I go in the house. He's hiding up in the attic of her grandma's house.
Hiding in the attic?
Yes, ma'am. Hiding in the attic up in her grandma's house. I told him, you gotta...
I mean, he found out that his girlfriend had been cheating on him with one of his close friends. Hold up! The juice from this story doesn't just end there. When Miss Morris is asked if she did cheat, she doesn't deny it. I mean, was she excited that she did?
We were having trouble way before I even slept with his friend. I was always constantly getting accused. He's always constantly telling me I'm cheating. It's been happening for 4 years now.
And so what I'm trying to understand is he keeps accusing you, so you just go ahead and validate.
Oh, trust me, Mr. Byram was beyond pissed. He found out that his girlfriend didn't just cheat on him once with his friend. Apparently, they were in a relationship. Now that's really messed up. How do you even do such a thing? It's really unbelievable.
They got together.
When me and him split up for that month.
No, they were together from like July all the way until November. This isn't just a month thing. This was like a 4-month thing.
We were in a potential relationship.
And then you all, after all of this, you got back.
Things start to spiral out of control as more mysteries behind their damaged relationship start to show themselves. Mr. Byram has been trying to bond with his kid, but it's not just working for him. Whenever he looks at the kid, all he sees is his friend's face. Ouch! That must be upsetting.
Still buy him clothes and toys and do whatever for him, but I keep my distance from him because I don't know if he's my son.
And then sometimes he'll say it's his son, sometimes he'll act like a dad to him, and then sometimes he won't. So it's like a mood swing type of thing. Like,
the whole drama from these two gives you a lot of adrenaline rush. Miss Morris eventually admits that what she did was completely wrong, and hopefully they could work things out and be happy again. But is that what Mr. Byram wants? I very much doubt that.
Be with him. I do not want to be with the other guy. He constantly tells me I do, and I don't. And I'm ready to basically move on with our family. I understand the mistakes that I made. I at least admitted to it. I came out and said what I did, but I'm willing to become a family. We already are.
Well, there's no going back now. The situation is just very messed up, but the truth is about to be unleashed. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. Will they be able to save their relationship, or is this goodbye? The answers lie in front of the judge.
Mr. Byram, you are the father.
Yes.
We have a second timer here. Mr. Scott was previously questioning another woman, and now he had another one. However, Miss Kalon appeared chill and had a tale of vanishing acts and online romance. Get ready for a paternity bombshell that'll leave you questioning if this is real life or just another episode of Who's Your Daddy?
Now, you previously appeared in this court, and it was determined that you now have 7 children by 4 women.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're here today denying you fathered the defendant, Ms. Kalan's 4-month-old daughter,
Yes, Your
Ezra,
Honor.
and today's paternity results will clear.
So, in the world of digital romance, their love story blossomed like a bad Tinder date. They met online, chatted for 3 weeks to a month. Who's counting, right? And things got super cozy. But beware, this isn't your typical lovey-dovey narrative. Nope. It's a saga of suspicious phone snooping and trust issues that could make even Romeo and Juliet cringe.
Met online. We chatted for about 3 weeks. I'll say 3 weeks
3
to a
weeks.
month. Something like that, you know. So she came to visit me. She came to my city. She came to visit me. You know, we hung out. We spent time. We had a nice time that night. No big deal, you know. It was nice. It was nice. She went to sleep.
As Miss Kalan spills the tea, she unveils Mr. Scott's sudden disappearance, suspecting another woman in the shadows. Mr. Scott's accusations lead to doubts, and the court becomes a stage for hurt feelings, trust issues, and a dash of online espionage. The drama unfolds as they question the foundation of their relationship.
No, not at that time. No, at the time of she, upon of her arrival.
No, see, that's
upon of
why
her
he's
arrival.
stuttering, because it's lies.
Nah.
Who am I married to?
Upon
Who
her
am I
arrival,
committed
upon her
to?
arrival, we was together.
I didn't
upon
have
her
nothing to
arrival,
hide.
we was
I didn't need
together.
to hide nothing.
But then she also admitted to me like she's.
Oh boy, Mr. Scott seemed to be ready to give all the facts and more. But the plot thickens when Miss Kalan reveals him to be a big fat liar. It's an insane tale of revelations, motel mysteries, and intimate details, all leading to the pregnancy.
He is a lie. I think he believes his own lies. For real. I mean, this is like crazy.
I don't have to lie.
I don't know where
How
he's
did
getting
it
all
go
of this.
down for you?
Okay, so I met him on the internet site, a dating site. I didn't pursue him, he pursued me.
Things were heating up, and they were about to heat some more. It seemed these guys had issues with each other for not picking up the phone when the other called. Oh, this seems like a messy web, and we all are left wondering, who's fooling whom?
If I call you at 12
Notes
o'clock
from
at night,
himself.
if I call you at 12 o'clock at night, not once, not twice, not 3, not 4, and you don't answer the phone.
The plaintiff, the self-proclaimed smart man, delves into the evidence he found in the mommy's phone. By the looks of it, a few questionable pictures were enough for him to doubt the woman big time.
Hey, I went through her phone. There was
we got
pictures
that.
of other men's male parts. Okay?
For real?
Pictures of other male parts. And it was another, she was like, well, I'm finna go to Lancaster to visit a friend, a family
And she
member.
did it like that?
Pictures
No,
of
that-
male
and then-
other people.
Moving on, Mommy claimed to have never been in love with the guy. However, it appears these guys did share a few mutual qualities that ended up attracting them. Though safe to say, it was a rocky relationship with doubts about commitment. Oh, they both did not trust one another.
Love on the internet site that I met him on, he wanted basically the same things I was looking for, you know? He
Yes,
was
of course.
family, he said he was family oriented.
Of course I am. I take care of all my kids, but.
Well, Mr. Scott seemed to be thrilled by the news first. Or so Miss Kalan says. Dreams of a happy family were shared and everything. However, it all went down the drain when the baby came into the world. All hell breaks loose then.
Said,
yeah,
quote unquote, oh, mommy, we're gonna be a family. See, yeah, that was the nickname.
And did you want to be a family with him?
I mean, it was what it was. I wasn't sure if that's what I
What
wanted.
was
He
it?
wanted me to move to.
Wait, you said it was what it was. What
I
was
mean,
it?
Next up, Ms. Kalan was countersuing the plaintiff for childcare expenses and loan payments as well. Yep, the guy was in debt. Though he didn't believe that himself. He was quick to shut that down.
altogether, maybe $400 or $500.
Okay. The money she sent you, was it a loan?
No, no, no,
Yes, it was a
no.
loan.
No, it wasn't no loan. Why did I get a loan from her? I mean, I worked
You
at the
act
time.
like
I
I'm speaking blasphemy. I just
No,
asked,
it's
was
not
it a
a loan.
loan?
Yeah.
No, it was not a loan. Not
Okay,
at all.
what was it?
I said I needed it, and she
Yeah,
gave
what-
it
what-
to me.
what was
Every
it?
other.
The courtroom was buzzing with anticipation. And these guys seemed to be only good at one thing, bickering with each other. The judge, sensing potential future drama, wrapped up the case and went straight for the results.
Mr. Scott, you are not the father.